Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly webinar. I started sharing the screen, and we're just waiting for a few more minutes because I think that we have quite a few registrants this time. So let's wait for one more minute before we begin. I hope everyone can hear me. If not, can you please ping me in chat? Actually, I'm going to put that in my chat. Right. So in this webinar, I'm going to do a very quick overview of MyDocSafe. As you could see, I'm logged into a trial account. This is what you would see if you just started a trial. If you're an existing customer, your account is likely to look rather different in the sense that you probably won't see some of the banners here on the top. And if you're one of our legacy customers, you might see proposals here, which is our legacy system, which you could turn off and take advantage of our new version, which is called Sales Flows. So let's do a very quick overview. What is the homepage for? We are on the homepage. What you see here are all the announcements you will see on the top. This one is quite important because we're about to launch some great features. So you could register for that webinar on the 27th right here. And then you have access to the tutorials. But if you hide those because they take so much space, you could always access them through the help button right here, where all those tutorials also live as well. So you'll always be able to come back to them. And then you have two dashboards. The first one is notifications, which shows you, I would say, sort of a detailed view of what's happening in the account. Who did what, who assigned, who accepted an invite, who uploaded something to a portal. So you could track those notifications. Actually, you could turn them on and off in your personal settings here on the right-hand side if it's too much for you, or you could archive the ones that you have seen. So that's sort of the first point of call. Now the bottom dashboard, that's for workflows. That's for more sort of complicated elements of the platform. If you use workflows, workflows are basically several steps that you want your clients to do, such as, can you please sign this contract, fill this form, get ID checked, and pay me some money. You could assemble those workflows as templates and then embed them in portals and ask clients to do them. The reason why we have a separate dashboard is because our workflows are used primarily for two reasons. One is to onboard a prospect, or to register an onboarding prospect, because in many cases, our clients need sort of a separate workflow for that, or even multiple workflows to onboard clients because of the nature of the services they offer. So that's the dashboard. You get it by clicking here on the top on this button, and then on the left-hand side, you see the contacts. The first one, this is the sort of our mini CRM dashboard, where you could add customers as individuals or organizations, and each customer is going to have a contact sheet with some default fields. And then on the right-hand side, you see where do they belong? Do they have any portals? If they do, then you will see them here. If you add any links between contacts, they will show up here. So if, let's say, Tom Jones is related to Emma Jones or works for another company, you could actually build those links here. And the groups, you could assemble groups of contacts if you want to send documents for signing, let's say, really quickly to a group of your directors or to members of a specific company. So that's contacts. The sales flows is where you could keep your services, description of your services and prices, how much you charge, the taxation, etc. You can build those manually or actually upload a CSV file so that they will be imported really quickly. And then you could use those services in portals to actually enable them and offer them to clients as a quote or as a request for payment. So that's where actually the settings for those services live. Now, the account settings are here, where you can change the logo and your company name, the things that here show up in the top right corner for you. And in a client's account, here's an example of a client who has only one portal. That's where your logo will show up here in the top left corner. You could, of course, use your own, but you could also purchase an add-on that would allow us to configure your portal login page. So rather than using our default page, which is app.mydocsafe.com, you could actually use something like, let's say, portals, and then some your company name, and in that case, the logo and the colors and the reference to your homepage, all of those can then be shown on the login page, which of course is much more in line with your brand. So that's in order to enable this, you would need to ask us to do this, because we would need your permission to actually use your domain. And also we can enable an email address of your choice that we will use to communicate with your clients. So rather than sending a request for signature from MyDocSafe at mydocsafehq.com, it could come from your bespoke email address, which also helps with brand awareness and sort of overall perception of the asset. So most of the other settings are relatively straightforward. I don't want to go through them. I think the only you would add your internal users here, but first you need to define their roles, permission sets. You can review email templates that we use, and you could adjust them as well. Some of them, not all, because some of the templates are system templates that you can only adjust sort of the message, but not the template itself. You also can define your own message templates, which is useful if you send a lot of documents for signing. So you could say, I don't know, welcome message, a message, and you could say, please sign this. And then this is great if you have many people using sort of sending documents to clients with, and you don't want everyone to come up with their own templates. You could just have a company style that everyone can just borrow. You have a color schema, so this governs the colors of the top banner and also the font colors. So if I would like to be pink, you could see that the primary color of the banner will become pink, and the accent color would become green. I think I don't like that one because it's not very tuned to our logo. Let's go back, or let's actually use something green. So then in terms of others, by the way, all of those will show up in the account, in the owner's account. If you are just an administrator, you are not going to be privy to all of those, because of course you can't delete the account. You won't be able to set up the subscription, but you may be able to do most of the other things. So these are the settings. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention to you about the left-hand side bar is this Create a Company button, which is very useful if you manage more than one brand, or if your office has a number of different brands or different locations, and you really want to keep them completely separate. So there may be one owner who manages the subscriptions, but the data never lives together, and there is no way of even accidentally share the data between accounts. So this is where you could create another one. Of course, this would require a separate subscription, and the benefit is that you could manage all of them through one login, and each of those accounts could have a separate set of users, brands, colors, configurations, etc. Right. So that's the homepage. Now let's move on to the real meat of the platform, which is those three tabs here. The first one is the documents, which is the internal document management system. It's intended for your internal use. So it's not intended to be shared with your clients, but only as a sort of staging post for documents that you may want to publish eventually in client portals. This separation is allows you or prevents you from making an unintentional a mistake of, let's say, sharing something that isn't ready by accident, and also it sort of stores internal documents that you know are just not going to be overshared by anyone in your team. So that's a relatively straightforward concept. You can create your files and folders here. You can send documents for signing right from here as well. The signed version of the document will just end up back in the folder where it came from, and it's not going to be shared with the counterparty. So the counterparty would get their own signed version saved in their own vault. Your copy will be here, so there will be no sort of portal sharing, which is useful if, for example, you don't want to use portals, or there is no sort of contractual relationship yet, and this is just sort of a one-off. You could also design your questionnaires here as well. But questionnaires is a very big topic because we have a powerful engine to build your own questionnaires. We could also help you do that as well if you hire us. And those questionnaires are logic-based. We could do data validation. You could import data from, query data from Companies House and look up addresses, etc. So it's fantastic for both sort of the initial inquiry, but also for proper sort of customer registration workflows. You could use those questionnaires anonymously. If you store them here in documents, you could just create a form. Let me just show you an example. Let's say new client information form, which is like a template. You could create it and then click a preview button to show you, that will show you what it looks like to the end user. So, it's a proper questionnaire that has structured data that can be filled, and you could pretty much now, since you have created the questionnaire, you could, so if I now save the form, you can start sharing it. So this questionnaire now has a share button. You click on the share, and now you could either embed it on your website, say click here to fill a form. You could email it to somebody, or even put it in a button somewhere else. So the questionnaires can be used on their own for data collection, but their true power really comes to life when they are embedded in workflows in portals, which I'll show you in a minute. So that's pretty much the documents area. The other elements, I would say, I won't discuss because, for example, these are our legacy workflows that will disappear very soon because we've moved everything to portals, and templates, also legacy templates. I would say we are replacing them with a new version. So ignore these two elements for now. So let's move to portals. Portals is the portals button takes you first to an empty page where you could create what we call a portal group. What is a portal group? It's pretty much a collection of portals. You may want to group your portals for many reasons. The benefits of groups is that you could brand them differently. You could give different sort of access to different groups to different people. So you could organize your business by grouping clients or stakeholders or projects into groups, and let's say giving access to each group to a different set of internal users or an office, etc. So that's one way how portal groups can be used. Another way is if, for example, you want to use the portals not just for clients, but also for your employees or for shareholders, etc., and you really want to make sure that there is no data oversharing. So you could have a set of people who have access to clients only, and then let's say your HR department would have access to employees portals. So if I create, let's say, employees group, I'm going straight inside the portal group configuration, and let's say I could create a number of portals for employees, and then restrict access to that group only to the HR personnel. But let's move back to clients. So here we are now in the dashboard for this portal group called clients. We have one portal that I've just created, which has a name, which has a user already, which is this user. And I've already logged in as that user in another tab, so you could see what the portal looks like from the end user's perspective. So it's pretty much your logo, there is the portal name and the tabs of what is in the portal. This is the sort of the default view, but I will show you how to change it. So you as the administrator or the owner, you could of course enter the portal and then do a lot of things here. You could send messages, you could drag and drop documents, you can design workflows as well, and enable questionnaires, create a document library. I mean, the configurations are quite endless. So it's quite important to understand how you want to actually present the portals to the end users. Most of our clients use multiple tabs because they serve different purposes. So the documents area can have a folder structure where you could provide, and you can actually build a template for that folder structure, so you don't need to create it every time you invite someone to a new portal. You can also create a workflows library, so basically workflows templates, which can be more about customer registration workflows or sort of multiple steps you want your clients to perform. So let's actually dig deeper. So let's move back one notch and talk about how would you go about configuring portals. So once you know what you want them for, then you probably need to build some elements, some sort of ingredients that the portals will use. And most of those you see here on the left. So I'm going to focus on these elements here below this line, because actions that are, or tab or labels that you see here are basically actions that you would do once you know what you're doing with the portals. So you could invite a lot of clients in bulk, do some secure document distribution, broadcast messages to the whole group, or request information from them. But we're not going to talk about it because, of course, they're not configured yet. So all the configuration elements are here. Where would you want to start? Well, the first thing is potentially questionnaires. If you want to embed questionnaires in portals, you go here and then add your questionnaire. And again, let me just be lazy and just import something from a template. And then I can save it. You've seen it before. Now, the only difference between questionnaires that are embedded in portals is that you could have them electronically signed, which is something you cannot do if you just have an anonymous questionnaire saved in your documents area. And to enable signing, all you need to do is to ask for signature. You could toggle this button here, ask for signature. And then suddenly what happens is that there is a signature widget that becomes available, which you could then add to anywhere in the questionnaire. You could do it in a number of places. So the way it works is that when you send that questionnaire through a portal to a client, they will fill it in the first step. And then when they're done, we will PDF their answers and then request them to sign on the dotted line wherever you put this questionnaire field as the second step. So when they're completely done, you end up with two very valuable things. You retain the data, which you could export if you need to put it in a CRM or anywhere else, or you want to analyze it. But you also get a PDF set in stone that has been electronically signed with a certificate at the bottom, which I'll show you, what it looks like in a minute. So you could pretty much keep on adding those questionnaires, and they will. So let's say maybe this is not a very relevant one for clients, a job application form, but just for the sake of this presentation, let me do that. So once you have all the questionnaires built here, you could start using them in a number of places. One is just as a one-off, as you could see now that I have defined Forms, you now have a tab called Forms. You could rename it. The default name is Forms. And what you could do as the admin, you could go into here, and then you could see those two templates we've built. And now I can actually request information and ask the portal user to actually fill it out, which is one way of using forms. So basically, on their own, you could just ask clients to fill them, and then the data will end up in here and their status, etc. But there's another way in which you could use forms. You could use forms in workflows, and because the workflows are more complex beasts. So let's actually now talk about them. So if you want to use workflows, you have two options. You could just build them on the fly and send them out whenever you need them in each portal. Or you could first build a template. So let's say, I mean, that's usually the preferable way, because I assume you don't want to, you want to save your time. You want to build something once and use it multiple times, especially if it is a standardized workflow, let's say related to registration or onboarding or a complicated sort of deal execution. So how would you go about creating a workflow template? Well, the first thing is you go to workflow templates and you just add a new workflow. And here's the workflow editor, which, as you can see, is completely empty. You could, let's say, change the name to say my onboarding workflow. And now you could start adding elements. The completion page element is already there because each workflow needs it, but nothing else. Everything else is customizable. And here are the options. As you can see, given that it's more than half a dozen different types of requests and data, you could pretty much build very complicated workflows with it. So let me just, I'm not going to actually demonstrate all of them here because we don't have the time, but I'm just going to describe them and maybe build a very quick sort of simple one and illustrate how it works. So the first one is request a signature. Well, here you would you can rename this widget, add a document. It's great if you have a sort of a standard document that you want here, because it's a template, right? So you want the same document to work with every client. So you would edit here, define the signature fields. I wonder if I could actually do that now. So I'll just go to some sort of a demo document, sort of a trivial one. So you bring in a document. It could be a Word document or it could be a PDF. And then you go through the setup. So first you can define some advanced settings, such as, do you want to be emailed every time? Do you want to have some automatic reminders? Maybe I want 3 reminders every 2 days, maybe. There are some interesting filing options, but they are more relevant if you're not using portals. In a nutshell, you could instruct the system to file a signed document anywhere else outside of the portal, as long as you tell us where it should go, which is great for housekeeping if you organize your business that way. But if you use portals, you probably don't need that. Security, that's about 2 things. One, do we want to disable typed signatures? There are jurisdictions where typed signatures are have a lower legal standing than actually a squiggle. So you could disable that. In Europe, there is no such requirement. And then you could define for how many days should that document be out there ready for signing, because maybe the default is 30. I think we could increase it to 60, but you can't go beyond that. So once you do this, the document will open up in a viewer, and here's just a trivial document, and you could drag and drop the signature fields from right to left. So you just hover over a field, grab it, drag it, and drop it onto the page. And each of those fields, as you can see, is customizable. So you could change its size by grabbing the handle, which is the square in the bottom right corner, and changing its size. And then that's for signature. For other fields, you could do more things. So, for example, for text, apart from resizing, you could actually change the label. So let's say this could be, I don't know, position. You could add a default value. You could make it optional or not. So you could use it as you require, and then you save the template. So then once the template is saved, it's right here. And now you could replicate that sort of process for other elements. So let's say we would like someone to sign a document and then fill a questionnaire. So what do? We click on the form, and you could see that here the two templates we've created are now available for selection. So we can add one of those questionnaires and then click and add it to the list. We could reorder those steps as we see fit. We can rename them. We can and we can proceed. So, for example, if we had services enabled or defined, we could add them here, and including a payment through Stripe. We could add ID verification step, which is provided by Yoti, which is the platform we use for that step. And you could add your video as an explainer of what you're actually, why you're doing it. The more, you could of course add message pages to sort of break the process. I think the more interesting step here is sending an email. Why would you want to do that? Well, the reason is that if you have a very long and complicated workflow, you could pause the process. So you could say, the first 5 steps are finished. Then you create a message saying, thank you very much. We will tell you when to resume. And then the process will pause until you go back to that workflow and then re-enable the workflow by sending the client an email saying, okay, now we're ready to proceed. So that's why this widget is here. So now let's just complete this widget, this trivial workflow, close it, and think about what we could do next with it. So we've defined a template. It's currently not visible anywhere. So you could see that it's just sitting here ready to be used, but no, it's not visible in any portal. So now you have several options of using this template, and that's a decision to be made by you. One is by making it visible, you will instantaneously publish it in every portal in that group. So any client would be able to log in and they will see the workflows tab. And then when they click on it, like here, they will immediately see this workflow right here. As you can see, this is empty now. So if I go back and if I publish it, any client will be able to actually see it right here and then go and perform it and fill it out on their own. But of course, why would they log in without you asking them to do it? So you probably are not going to use it this way. So the best way to actually trigger a workflow is to request the client to actually start it. So how would you go about that? Well, you go back to the portal list. You go to the portal where you want the client to do some work for you. You click on the workflows, and here you could say send workflow invite. And or you could just open it to see what's the status is, but you could see that there's nothing here. So I can send a request. The person with access to that portal is predefined here. I send them the message and say, please complete the workflow, and then I send it. So now the document has been sent. Now, if I go to the inbox of that client, you could see that there is an invite waiting. Can you please start the workflow? And the client can click on the button and then will be taken to the first step in the workflow. Now, they are logged in to the platform, so we don't ask them to log in again. But if they were not logged in, they would be asked to log in first. I mean, that's the element of the security here. And as you can see, the workflow appears on the left. You have the 3 steps defined, the name of the portal, and the sort of the disclaimer of what this is all about. And if it's a long document, they will be able to just jump to the first field straight away. But it's not needed in the case of this document. And now they can go through the motions. They can either type their name, or they can draw it, or they can upload their image. Most people will probably just type it. They can add the signature. They can then jump to the next field, or just click on here and say, director, and then carry on. Tick boxes are always optional, so the person doesn't need to tick it in order to submit the document. But let's say I want to do that, and then I click submit. And now I'm going to be taken to the second step, which is the questionnaire. And you could see that the first step has been completed. It has the tick box. When you go back, you actually can't go back just yet, because what we're doing is we are PDFing the document, creating a certificate, and then only offering it back to everyone. So if we refresh, we might just be lucky enough. Yes, here it is. The step is re-enabled. I can go back, and now I can see my engagement letter signed. I see those captured fields. And if I scroll down, I see the certificate. And this is the certificate that is attached to the PDF version of the signed document, which has all the cryptography, the events log, the QR code, all the elements that make this document verifiable. So if in a year's time someone is emailed this document and they're not sure if it hasn't been tampered with, they can actually, through this QR code, go to our server and see our version of the certificate. They could also upload their document to our server to verify that the certificate matches the document. So that basically just works out of the box. And then the person can carry on with a questionnaire. Now, given that it's a long one, and I don't know if we asked for signature in here, probably not. Let me just try if I can just go through some motions. Click next. Now, as you can see, I can't just submit it because some of those fields are required. So you could define some fields as optional and some as not, so that you actually force the client to go through all the fields before they can complete it. If the client doesn't have enough data, they can always just close the workflow, go back to the portal, sign out, sign back in, and carry on later on. So these are the workflows in a nutshell. Now, let's go back to the configuration panel and just talk a little bit about configuring portal tabs. So these are the ones those tabs that are visible here across the board. So workflows are there by default as our documents. Sign Documents tab appears automatically whenever someone signs a document. It's just a utility. There's just a convenience. If you sign documents to portals, they will always be there in the Sign Documents tab for your reference. The Forms tab appears only if you have actually questionnaires defined. You could also add a documents library, which is a place where you put in maybe some reports or client-facing documentation, which is read-only for the clients, and you don't want to sort of drag and drop it into every individual portal. You just want a single place where you manage it from. It will appear automatically once you actually put something in that library, and then the library is right here, public documents. So if I go here and would like to add something, let's say it is some sort of report, I can drag and drop it. It will appear in the library straight away. So if I log in as a client and refresh, public documents is right here. So if I go in there, I can see it, I can download it. I can't really do much more with this folder, but that's the whole idea, is that these are public documents. Right, so back to the configuration account, to the admin account. If we want to configure those tabs, what you need to do is go here to the Settings tab, and here you have a number of options on going across. So one is the General tab, where you can change the name, create a default invite message so that you don't need to retype it every time. You have some other options such as, well, actually chat is removed by default now, but you could enable it. You have two-factor authentication. So what you could do is force your clients to set up two-factor authentication when they accept the invitation to the portal. It's a bit of a inconvenience, but if that's what you need, you could do it, and they will be sent an SMS to their mobile phone, and then they will need to provide it to actually log in. You could also create an auto deletion timer, which is great for GDPR and sort of housekeeping purposes. If, for example, the portals live for not longer than a few months, and you don't need to keep them for more, let's say, than a year or two for compliance purposes, you could create an auto deletion timer for the entire portal. You just put the number of months in here, and we will do the work for you. We will just put them into the bin after the time is up, and then 30 days later, the bin will be emptied and they will be gone forever. You could use this feature for more granular data, for actually specific folders as well, which you could do here. So in this tab, you define the default folder structure that you want in the documents area. So here, as you can see, the documents are empty. I can drag and drop documents here as I want, but I would need to create folders manually, which is a bit of a nuisance if we need those folders. But what I can do instead is to say, all right, let's call this one 223 accounts, and I'm not going to delete any data there, but you could do it later, and then I can do another one, 2024 accounts. Well, the beauty of being able to create a sort of a list, like a templated list of folders, is that they will magically appear in every folder, in every portal, like in every new portal. As you could see here, I have, say, applied the structure to new portals only. This portal already exists, so those folders haven't been created. But what if I'm going to say, I actually want all new portals and all old portals to have this structure? Well, I just click this button. And then what happens is that the existing portal will just magically get the folders. And this is great if you, let's say, have a new year coming and you just need every portal to get a new folder. You just get it done from this one place. Then there are other actions. They are rather, this is where you delete the group. This is where you set the invite reminders. And this is where you create a tutorial. The interesting thing about it is that you can create a tutorial for all portal users in this portal group. That could be either a video or an article, and all you need is just to paste something. So let me just say, I'm going to go to Vimeo, where we hold our, let's say, our tutorials. And here I'm going to copy that and put that in this. Sorry, where was that? Here. No, sorry, this is not an article. I want a video. So I put it in here, and I'm going to call it a welcome video. I'm going to save it. What's going to happen to the client? To the client side, if we refresh, then suddenly there is a button that appears in here on the top, which is a welcome video. And if you open it up, the video will be served. Which is great if you want to sort of create your own welcome message and tell your clients what this portal is for. And this is separate from actually embedding videos in specific workflows. So you have a number of ways to sort of guide your client through the motions. Right, so I just went through those tabs here across, but what I really wanted to show you is where do you configure tabs in the portals. So you just open this button, click on this button, and you see the configuration page. On the left, you see all the sort of elements, Lego boxes that are available. And on the right, you see all the ones that are actually enabled. You could turn them on and off, you could rename them. So if I say I don't want messages, I just delete them, they move back here, and I save it, and that's it. There will be no messages. But if I want messages, let me put them back. So this is where you configure them and change their names. But one important thing about this page is that, as you could see, maybe you haven't noticed, but one of the available tabs is a workflow template. What does that mean? It means that you have an option. You could either publish your workflows here, under the workflows tab. So they will all be here on a list, workflow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or what you could do instead is get rid of that workflows tab and actually promote a workflow template to be a tab. So rather than the client having to click on workflows and then select the workflow, what they could do is they could simply pick the workflow straight from the list here. Some clients prefer one method. It really depends on what the purpose of the portal is. I would say keeping it less busy is always preferable because clients are not getting confused. But if you deal with savvy individuals who understand the process, then it may be better to do it this way. So that's where you do it. Right, I think I've covered most of these things. There are other elements which I haven't. So just really briefly, the sign up link. This is great if you have configured your portals, but you don't want to spend the time inviting each client to those portals manually. So what you could do instead, you could generate a self-sign-up link. And that self-sign-up link can then be published on your website on a button behind a button, and then anyone can just click it and then self-register. We will send them an email. They will need to confirm it. They will set up their login, and then the portal will miraculously appear here. So let's say if I open up an incognito window and let's pretend that I just received this sign-up button through my email from you, and then here it is. I need to set it up. So I'm going to say I'm Joe Blogs. And I'm going to set my address. And then I'm going to sign up. So what's going to happen now? Well, I'm going to get an email, which I can see. So I'm going to go back to this tab, sign out. So here I'm going to receive a portal invite, which is the one that I've just triggered. I can accept the invite, which is it's a completely self-service. My name and email are here. I just accept the terms and conditions. I'm going to set up a password. Okay, I'm typing too fast. And click next. And here I am. I'm in the portal. It's been created for me, including the default folders with the welcome video and all the other elements. And I can delete the things I don't want. And what else can I do? Well, I presumably will just watch the video. Now, you as the administrator, you could go back to your account, and what's going to happen? Well, the portal has been created automatically with the name of the client as the name of the portal. So that's the self-sign-up link. There are two other ways of doing it, of course. You could just add a portal manually every time by clicking on this button. You could add extra users to your client portal through this button. Or if you have lots of clients you want to onboard, you could use the add portals in bulk feature, where you could just drag and drop a CSV file, map the fields, and then we'll do the work for you. So that's how you would create those portals. What else do we want to talk about? Well, I will just mention very briefly, there is this sub-portal structure, which is great if you do payroll. If, for example, you would like to create individual employee sub-portals in each client's account, if you want to use it for, let's say, payslip distribution. But there are other use cases for it. Now, the statuses and access groups, these are the things that would appear here. So statuses are interesting because you define them yourself. So you could say this could be called new, and this one could be called VIP. Once you create your statuses, you could then assign the status to each portal, and that in this way you could sort of communicate internally about each portal, sort by the status, so these statuses are not visible to end users, only to you. There are other ways of sort of marking each portal according to your internal system. You could also add what we call labels. Labels are really great for secure document distribution feature. So for example, if it's a unique tab, let's say this is sort of internal client number, Once you have that here, what you can now do is if you have like 1,000 clients here and you have 1,000 documents that need to be sort of sent one to each portal somehow, if each of those files has that label in their file name, you could simply drag and drop them all here through Secure Document Distribution tab and click a button. And we will do the delivery, because we will match the label with we'll read it from the file name and we will match it with a label, and then we'll place that document in the portal. So that's statuses and document distribution. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is access groups. Access groups are basically subsets of portals that you want to use, sort of give restrict access to your internal users. So for example, you have 100 clients here, and there are 4 people, each needs access to 25 of them, and you want to somehow, and you don't want each individual to see anybody else's clients. You could do this through access groups. You define them. Once you define the access groups, you could then create a role that only has a privilege for a specific access privilege for the access group, and then the rest will be done automatically. Audit trail, well, that's basically a list of actions that we will, as you could see, things are happening. Everything that is sort of important is on this list. You could export it to your CSV file, and when you audit it, you could see, or if something fishy happens, you could actually see it through there, which is very important for compliance. So I would say that's pretty much it I wanted to cover on the portal side. Last bit is about signatures. That's a dashboard only for e-sign. So because presumably you will be sending documents for signing from documents or from portals, from subfolders, from many places. How do you actually keep track of where they all are and what their statuses are? Well, you could do it from here. You could figure out very easily, about all the documents you need to sign, or you have sent for signing, or others have sent for signing. You can filter them. So let's say here I have nothing in unsigned, but if I go to signed, I should have something there. No, signed by you. Why don't I have that here yet? I don't know. Is that correct? I was expecting to see here something. I need to double check this, why it's not on the list, because we did sign something today in this webinar, and it should be shown on this list, but that's something to explore maybe for later. So that's signatures tab. In terms of help, you could get it, of course, through here. There's more help. You can chat with us. You have and you could send us a message. So hopefully that is sufficient for you to get started. Now, let me stop here. We are almost out of time. And if you have any questions, you could post them now and I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, I will wait for a few more seconds and probably end here. Right. So I have one question about logo and the company name. Do we need to use both of them if the company name is really long? Because then it'll be sort of rectangular logo and a rectangular name. It's a good question. So if we go to here, home and settings, in account branding, you have this option, show company name next to logo or not. So if you're, let's say, if you don't want, if you only want to show your logo, you can simply untick this box, and then as you can see, it will disappear, and then you could probably then only use your logo rather than both. So that's the answer. All right, I don't see any other questions, so I hope this was useful. Please email me at daniel@mydocsafe.com if you have any questions. I hope that was useful. Hope to hear from you. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye for now.